Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from a throwaway account. A quick trigger warning that there's talk of grief within the story, so if you do want to skip it, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always down in the description and on the timeline below. Thank you. It's titled, My 26 Female Mother, 50s Female. Flipped out after they found out I sent my sister's 28 female boyfriend, 29 male, some other things after she passed away. Using a throwaway because my friends and cousins know my main account. I apologize if this gets too long. Background, my sister Anne and her boyfriend Tom have known each other since they started college and began dating during their third year. I watched them support each other through difficult times, and I also saw how they encouraged each other to grow not only as a couple but as individuals. Basically, they were really happy and great together. Because my sister and I are best friends, I also grew close to Tom and saw him as the brother I never had. We all lived in the same city near my parents, me at home while Tom and Anne had a condo together. But Tom ended up getting a great job across the country. They decided to sell the condo and move to the new city. Tom left earlier and Anne stayed behind to finish up a contract and help pack and move the rest of their things when she was done. Present. Before Anne moved, she suddenly passed away. Even now, I still don't know how to process her death. It took us all by surprise, and without going into too much detail, I can only say it was unexpected. The death was a blur to everyone in our family. I think that Tom took her death the worst though. He confided in me that he was going to propose soon after she moved. When Tom flew home after Anne's funeral, he called me and asked if I could send him some of Anne's things. He wasn't demanding or anything and said that if it was a bother, he would understand. I thought the things he asked for were pretty reasonable. He just wanted one of her stuffed animals. It was a matching pair and he had the second one already. He also asked for a ring. They had purchased matching rings at a popular jewelry store, and it wasn't an heirloom or a wedding band type thing. The last thing he asked for was a scrapbook that the two of them had been working on together. Tom said he missed her a lot, and since they're in the process of moving, he regretted not having anything at home to remind him of her. I thought the request was reasonable. Besides, these were things they purchased together. I sent them to Tom the next day and didn't think anything of it. A few days later, I came home from work and found my mother sifting through Anne's things. She asked me if I had seen her ring since it was missing from her vanity, and I told her about Tom's request and how I sent it away. She immediately started to freak out. I've never seen my mother this mad before. She started to yell that it wasn't mine to give away and that I had no right sending off Anne's things to other people. I got flustered and told her that even if I didn't have a right to return it to Tom, it's not like she has a right to keep it. This seemed to make her more mad, and she just kept yelling and yelling about how Anne's things belonged at home. My dad had to calm my mum down, and I left the house for a few hours. It's been 2 days, and my mother hasn't talked to me once. I'm so confused, and I wonder if I did something out of line. Tom literally had nothing at his place of Anne's, and they're both adults. And technically, Tom bought the ring for Anne. Did I act too quickly by sending it to Tom? Now, I just found this one sad all around because personally I don't think anyone is acting out of malice in this situation. It's like the trigger warning said, they're acting out of grief. But honestly, I do think OP did the kind thing. I think Tom does deserve some items. Tom didn't ask for family heirlooms or expensive possessions. He just asked for something that's deeply personal items that were connected to their relationship. The stuffed animal, the ring they bought together, the scrapbook they made together. Those weren't just, some random objects to him. They were pieces of life that they were building together. But also, I get the mother's reaction though. I don't think she was angry about the items themselves. I think she was just panicking because every object suddenly feels like this is what's left of her daughter. As we always say in situations like this, grief can make people act irrationally protective over belongings in this case because it feels like you're losing the person all over again. And I just hope there's a way that, he can talk to his mum to bring his mum around to that way of thinking that Tom does deserve those items. Tom was a huge part of her life as well, and they're just grieving in different ways. A commenter says to the OP, his request is reasonable and more than understandable. You did nothing wrong. Perhaps you could have had a conversation with her about it beforehand, but honestly, those items should go to him. They're personal to Anne and Tom's relationship, not your mum and Anne's relationship. If you had this conversation before you mailed the items, she probably still would have been upset and refused. Your mum is grieving, and that doesn't always translate to rational behavior or thought processes, especially if the loss is relatively recent. She will get over this, and in time, she'll see the situation more clearly. She's not upset that you mailed the items without asking. She's upset because her child died, and she sees those items as her last connection to Anne. Sorry for your loss. So OP does come in with an update and says, I wanted to say thank you to everyone who replied and sent me messages. I didn't get a chance to reply to everyone, but I definitely read every response. Anyways, after my mum's initial freakout, I tried so hard to stay home and work it out. I knew in my heart that she was only grieving, but even then I couldn't take it anymore. Part of me felt like she was so selfish. She lost her daughter, but so did my father. I lost my sister, and Tom lost the woman he was supposed to spend the rest of his life with. My mother continued to be passive-aggressive to the point where I felt she was just cruel. For example, I was in the kitchen talking to my dad about whether or not we should unpack Anne's boxes. My mother turned to my father and said, "You ought to keep an eye on me in case she tries to pawn off more of Anne's things." As much as I love my mother, I needed to take care of myself first. I ended up packing a few things and stayed at a friend's house to cool off a little bit. Before I left, my father and I agreed that we should get the family into counseling, and he said he would talk to my mother while I was away. A few days passed and my mother ended up calling me. I could tell she had been crying, and she ended up apologizing. She admitted that it was irrational to try and keep all of Anne's things, and that Tom had every right to Anne's mementos, especially since it was so personal to their relationship. She said that after I left, she realized that she was pushing away everyone around her, and that she didn't want to lose me too. I asked her why she was so fixated on the ring, and she said that since she saw Anne wear it every day, she wanted to wear it as a reminder of Anne. She said she felt kind of stupid though, since it was a romantic gesture from Tom and she really wasn't thinking clearly. My family has our first counseling appointment next week, and I'm hoping that it'll help us a lot. I also decided to take my mum to the store Anne's ring is from and get our own matching rings. It'll be a different style, but we're thinking of engraving Anne's name or birthday inside the band. I totally get that everyone is hurting from Anne's death, and my mother is normally a very rational and loving woman. I've decided to move forward from this and forgive her. I've also been keeping in contact with Tom and trying my best to support him. I believe that he's also looking into getting some counseling as well. Thanks again to everyone who offered their love and support. Oh, and for the new people who messaged me accusing my mother of trying to sell Anne's ring, I'm not sorry to report that my family might be a little crazy, but we're not that dramatic. I'm not gonna lie, that update made me a little bit emotional, a little bit teary, I gotta say, because it just shows what grief can do to people, but also what happens when people choose compassion instead of doubling down. My mother's comment about wanting to wear the ring because she saw her daughter wear it every day completely changed the situation for me. It wasn't greed, it wasn't cruelty. I don't even think it was to begin with. I don't think she was doing it out of malice. It was just a grieving mother desperately trying to cling on to something that made her feel close to her daughter. And good on OP for recognizing that, while still protecting herself at the same time. Leaving the house when things was becoming really toxic was probably the best thing she could have done in that situation. And OP coming in with the matching rings at the end was just a beautiful way to honor Anne as well. Not replacing what Tom had with her, but creating something new between a mother and daughter and carrying her memory forward at the same time. Absolutely beautiful in a really sad situation at the same time. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now our next story comes from lastnamethrow, who says both me, 33 female, and my fiance, 33 male, of 5 years have almost identical last names, but he is insisting that I change my last name after marriage. This argument is making me consider cancelling the wedding. My fiance and I have been together for 5 years, engaged for 6 months. We recently started designing our save the dates and had a huge argument over me not changing my last name. We both have extremely generic last names, and a good example of what I'm talking about is Schultz versus Schultz. Now the spelling is different here, so it's SHULTZ versus SCHULTZ. It is the difference of a single silent letter. I explained to my fiance that I do not want to change my last name because I'm a journalist and all of my work is tied to my current name. If I were to change my name, it would mess up my future career opportunities. Plus, my name is the traditional spelling, while my fiance's is the Americanized spelling. My fiance has told me that he could not fathom having a wife with a different last name, but his only explanation was that it bothered him. He said it wasn't about tradition, but it just felt wrong to him. I already offered that our children would have his last name, but we're at an impasse. It just feels like he doesn't care about how this will impact my career, or even that we already share the same last name. The argument was such a huge blow-up that I don't want to get married if it means having to give in to what feels like an unreasonable demand. On top of everything, changing my name would be a huge pain in the butt, as I would have to probably do everything over and over again because companies are assuming my last name is misspelled, instead of seeing it as my new married name. This is just such a bizarre hill to kill your relationship on. For me anyway, personally, whenever I see these stories about last names, if I was with a partner and they wanted to keep their last name, it's just you do you. If you want to keep your last name, you've lived with it your whole life, absolutely keep it. I wouldn't blame you one bit. And OP has actual practical reasons for not wanting to change it. Her career, published work, professional identity, legal paperwork, all for what? To add or remove a silent letter so her fiancé feels slightly more comfortable. OP was already compromising, saying the kids, if we have kids, could have your last name. A commenter says to OP, if he insists that it isn't tradition, but just feels that it's wrong to have different names, he could take yours, right? Especially if he isn't in a career that depends on older work. Did you two discuss that option? OP says it was something that I brought up and he is adamantly opposed, and ironically it is for the same reasons. He does not want the work he's published to not be tied to him if he's changed his last name. Panic Bread says that kind of tells you all you need to know about his reasonableness, doesn't it? What else is he going to refuse to compromise on in the marriage? OP says, out of the 5 years we've been together, this is the only thing we've ever not been able to work past. He's reasonable on everything except this, and he said that he feels horrible about it, but he doesn't think he could marry someone without her taking his last name. Commenter says, I see your point, but at one point you call your last name generic. Do you really want to take the argument to the heights it's going over something you find generic? And if you're in a fight that has blown up to these proportions to where you think you may not even marry the guy if he doesn't concede, then you don't need to get married. When something really big comes up, will that be your solution/train of thought also? OP says it is generic, but my last name is the traditional spelling. If asked to spell either one of our names after hearing it, 99 out of 100 people would spell it the way my last name is spelled, not the way his is spelled. Imagine Michaels versus Michaels or Green versus Green and, just a letter different spelling in each of those. This is the only major disagreement we've ever had. Things got a bit heated, but it was never to that point of yelling. We each just said our side, couldn't agree, and then went to bed. Commenter says, but you're seriously contemplating not getting married over it. OP says I will not marry someone who I feel does not respect who I am and my career. If that is unreasonable, then I don't know what to say. The OP did come in with an update and says, I was planning on updating this yesterday before I went to bed, but decided to wait until this morning. I also had to repost this since I edited a major part of the text and kept forgetting to put the TLDR in. I first posted on Wednesday while waiting to leave work. It gave me a lot to think about, so I decided to drop the conversation until after Christmas to think about everything and also to not cause more unneeded stress at the holidays. A lot of people suggested that I take my husband's last name and keep my maiden name for professional use. And I have one thing to say to you all. I've had my name for 33 years so far, and suggesting that I do one thing I don't want to do, which is change my name in any form, is just really short-sighted. With the difference of one letter, no one would assume my name is different because I'm married. They would also assume it's a typo since a letter was deleted, which is far more of a nightmare than changing my name to something completely different. Moving on now. As I said in one of my comments, I'd already spoken to my fiance's parents about it before I posted. They'd heard our arguments, we live in the same house. No, it's not weird because the house is huge and my fiance's dad, father-in-law had agreed with me. His wife, my fiance's mum, mother-in-law had kept her maiden name and it wasn't an issue at all. My father-in-law had a talk with my fiance on Christmas before I'd woken up. I don't know what all the details were, but the part of it was that their family name had been Schultz for hundreds of years before it was changed to Schultz, again, the one-letter spelling change, and that my fiance was technically going against centuries of family history by insisting that I change my name, and that he would actually be honoring the family by bringing back the traditional name. After I woke up, my fiance asked if I would talk with him. I agreed, and he and I had a long discussion about the whole thing, to talk with his dad about why it bothered him, etc. My fiance told him that he loved me regardless of everything and that it just hadn't occurred to him that he was demanding that I change a fundamental part of me. He also added that my stubbornness about the issue is part of why he likes me, because I'm not the type of woman to roll over. In the end, my fiance and I agreed that he would keep his name, I would keep my name, and our children will be named Schultz, Schultz, but that they can choose whatever they like once they turn 18. Happy ending. A commenter on the end of this one says, "Well done, Mrs. Schultz." Opie says, "Ms. Schultz," with a winky emoji. A commenter says, quoting, "I had my name for 33 years so far, suggesting that I do one thing I don't want to do, which is change my name in any form, is just really short-sighted," and then says, "Good. I was so disappointed with all the comments telling you to do that. Interesting that his own family didn't take the traditional route. I wonder if he has some issues with his mum about something else that manifested itself that way." Opie responds one more time saying thanks for that. As for his mum, it was clear after we kept talking during the first argument that made me make my first post that he hadn't even thought about it. He told me yesterday that thinking about his mum made him change his mind because he had never seen any problems come between his parents that were caused by a last name. After we did some more talking, he let me know that it felt weird partially because it wouldn't feel like a family, but he didn't need to look beyond his own parents to see that was untrue. There was another comment who commented on the overall kind of thing on this and said, "Extremely interesting that he grew up with a mum with a different last name, and his reasoning for wanting OP to change hers is that if you have a different last name, it doesn't feel like you're a family. Feels like there's something deeper to unpack there, that the resolution is just kind of wallpapering over." And I think it would be fair to say there was a lot of comments on the back of this that just felt uneasy about the whole thing. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now our next story comes from the Off My Chest subreddit from OK Assistance 8735 and says, "Am I overreacting? My coworker has been heating up fish in the office microwave every day and just asked me to keep it down while he eats. I need to talk about this because nobody in my office will, and I think I'm going insane. I work at a tech company in Shenzhen. I'm not Chinese. I moved here for the job. I don't fully understand everything that happens in this office, and I've accepted that. Sometimes there are cultural things I just don't get, and that's fine. This is not one of those things. I'm confident this is not a cultural thing. I think it's just this one guy. There's a guy on my floor. I call him Dale because his English name is Dale, and I don't care anymore. Dale started here in October. Seemed normal at first, quiet, wore those slim fit dress pants everybody wears here. Had a little desk plant, fine. In November, Dale started bringing fish for lunch. Not like from the canteen downstairs where they have an actual kitchen and like 8 options. His own fish, in a container, microwaved, every single day. The microwave is not in a break room. The microwave is on a little table in the open office right between his desk and mine. We have a canteen. We have a full canteen with real food made by real cooks on the first floor, and this man brings tilapia from home in a glass container and microwaves it at his desk. I can hear the turntable spinning. He stands next to it and watches it rotate the entire time. Just stands there, looking at his fish spin. The smell is unreal. I'm not going to describe it because you already know. You know exactly what microwave tilapia in a shared space smells like. It's that, but in Shenzhen, in the humidity, it lingers. I mentioned it to him once in like November. My Mandarin is okay. Not great, so I kept it simple. I said, "Hey Dale, do you think maybe you could heat that up in the canteen kitchen?" He looked confused. He said, "But the microwave is right here." I thought maybe I said it wrong, so I asked a colleague to translate just in case. She told him exactly what I said. He looked at her and then back at me and said in English, "Yes, but the microwave is right here." He understood me the first time. He just couldn't process why anyone would walk downstairs when there's a microwave right here. It got worse in December because he started bringing a side. The side is broccoli, also microwaved. So now we have fish and broccoli in a small open office area. I know Chinese offices can sometimes have strong lunch smells. I know that, but even the other Chinese colleagues were opening windows. This wasn't a culture gap. This was Dale. January is when things got weird. Dale put a small sign on the microwave in Chinese that said something about being courteous with shared appliances. I had to ask someone to read it for me. I thought, oh good, he's becoming self-aware. No, he put the sign up because someone microwaved some kind of spicy hot pot leftovers and he didn't like the smell. Dale didn't like the smell. The fish and broccoli guy thought hot pot was too much. I stared at the sign for maybe an hour. I could read half of it, but I understood enough to know I wasn't losing my mind. Then in February, he started doing something I still don't fully understand. He began eating at his desk with his desk lamp off. Just sits in the dim with his tilapia and broccoli while the rest of us are working. I asked a Chinese co-worker if this was a thing. She said no. I asked another one. He said no and also made a face. So it's not a thing. It's a Dale thing. I asked Dale about it and he said he read on WeChat that eating in dim light aids digestion. I didn't look it up. I don't want to know if it's true, because if it is, then this man is operating with information from a WeChat article and I can't compete with that. 2 weeks ago, he brought in a second container. I thought, oh God, what now? It was rice. Just plain rice. I was so relieved it was just rice that I almost thanked him. I almost thanked the man for only bringing rice. That's where I am now. My baseline has shifted so far that plain rice feels like a gift. Oh, and I forgot to mention, he eats with these metal chopsticks. Not the disposable wooden ones from the canteen, not even normal reusable ones. These heavy metal chopsticks that scrape the glass container. It sounds like a tiny forklift backing up. Every day for the full duration of his lunch, which takes him about forever because he chews each bite like it's solving something. Last week is what made me write this post. I was on a video call with our US partner office. Important call. Had my headset on. Dale walks over to the microwave area, which again is right next to me, and he taps me on the shoulder. I mute myself. He goes in English because he knows I prefer it. Hey, do you mind keeping it down for a bit? I'm about to eat. He asked me to keep it down while he eats fish in the dark at his desk. He asked me to be quieter for his dining experience in the open office that we share. I said, Dale, I'm on a call with the US team. He nodded and said, yeah, that's kind of what I mean. The English is a lot. The English is a lot. My job talking. In the language he switched to ask me. He wants me to not do my job so he can eat microwave tilapia in peace in the dark with his metal chopsticks. I went to my manager about it. He said Dale is a little different, but his code is very clean. I said, that's great, but the fish? He said, have you tried to talk to him about it? I said, yes, in 2 languages. He said, maybe try again. Yesterday, he put up a new sign. It said something about a quiet lunch zone from 12 to 1. He laminated it. He went somewhere in the building and found a laminator and laminated a sign declaring quiet lunch zone around the microwave. He is colonized for his daily fish ritual. There was no vote. There was no group chat announcement. Dale just decided this is a quiet lunch zone now. The sign has a little clip of fish on it with chopsticks. I know it's not ironic. I know there is not a single ironic bone in this man. He just thought a fish with chopsticks was appropriate for a lunch sign. I asked 3 different co-workers if this was normal. All 3 said no. One of them laughed so hard that she had to go to the stairwell. One just said, that's just Dale. Like that explains anything. The third one showed me that she eats lunch at a mall across the street now specifically because of Dale. She'd been doing this since December. She didn't even tell me. I could have been going with her this whole time. I just found out he's up for a promotion. My manager said he's a good culture fit. I've been eating lunch at a Lanzhou noodle shop down the street since January, and my jacket smells like tilapia, so maybe he's right. Maybe this is the culture now. Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I should just turn off my desk lamp and accept it. I moved to the other side of the world for this job, and somehow my biggest problem is the same one people have in every office on Earth. Fish guy. Fish guy is universal. Fish guy transcends borders and languages. His desk plant is thriving, by the way. Probably the broccoli steam. The OP did update the post and says, if you saw my last post, you already know about Dale. If you didn't, short version, I work at this AI startup called Happy Cappy AI in Shenzhen. I'm not Chinese, and there's a guy named Dale who microwaves fish at his desk every day, eats in the dark with his lamp off, laminated his own quiet lunch zone sign, and once asked me to keep it down on a work call because the English is a lot. That post blew up, which is flattering and also depressing because the most viral thing I've ever done is to complain about a man's tilapia. Cool. Anyway, here's what happened since. Dale got the promotion. Of course he did. My manager announced it during morning stand-up and everyone clapped and Dale did this single nod. Didn't smile, didn't say thanks, just one slow nod like a general accepting battlefield commands. I've never seen someone absorb applause like that. He just let it wash over him and then sat back down and opened his fish container because it was 11:58 and nothing, not even career advancement, delays the fish. His new desk is 3 spots closer to me. There were open desks by the window, by the door, by the elevator. He picked the one nearest the microwave, which is also nearest to me. I think Dale thinks we're close. I think in his mind, the fish has bonded us. We are not bonded. I am a hostage. The day after the promotion, he brought a new container. My actual heart rate went up. It was soup. Fish soup. So now the daily lineup is tilapia, broccoli, rice, and a soup that smells like the ocean floor during a crisis. The whole floor got hit. Our office manager sent a message in the company WeChat saying, "Does anyone smell something burning on floor?" And Dale responded with, "No, that's my lunch," and a thumbs up emoji. Not embarrassed, not apologetic, a thumbs up. This man just got promoted, and his first act of leadership was to proudly claim a smell that HR should be investigating. I went to my manager about it. Again, he said, "Yeah, I get it, but Dale's output is really strong." I said his output of smell is also really strong. He didn't laugh. He said, "Maybe bring it up in your next one-on-one with Dale." My next one with Dale? Dale is not my manager. Dale is my problem. But apparently the promotion means Dale now does peer check-ins with people on the floor. So yes, I have a one-on-one with a fish man now. That's where my career is at. But the thing that actually broke me is the fridge. Dale brought in a mini fridge. Personal. Unauthorized. Just showed up on Monday humming under his desk. It has a sticker on it. A cartoon fish, smiling, and right next to it he stuck one of those happy cappy capybara stickers we got on the company's retreat. So now there's a happy capybara and a happy fish on Dale's unauthorized fridge like they're best friends, like they're in this together. Every time I look at it, I feel they're both judging me for not accepting Dale's lifestyle. I asked my manager about the fridge and he said Dale mentioned wanting to keep his ingredients fresh. I think it's fine. Ingredients? He's calling it ingredients now. It's not lunch anymore. He has ingredients. The desk is a prep station. Dale is running a restaurant out of a cubicle and management is fine with it because his code is clean. Oh, and remember the co-worker who had been eating lunch at the mall across the street since December? She quit last week. Not directly because of Dale. I think she got a better offer somewhere. But on her last day, she stopped at my desk and whispered, "Get out while you can." I laughed. She didn't laugh. She just looked at me like I was the one person she couldn't save and then walked to the elevator. I think about it a lot. Now here's why I'm writing this. Yesterday in the elevator, just me and Dale. Quiet. He turns to me and goes, "Hey, do you like seafood?" I said, "I guess. Why?" He said, "No reason, just planning something for the floor." For the floor? Planning something for the floor? I said, "What do you mean? Planning what?" And he just smiled and walked out and did the wave without looking back. The man dropped just planning something and left, like a villain in a movie, except this villain has a mini fridge and a laminator, and I don't think he's joking. Something is coming. Something involving Dale, seafood, and his understanding of what's appropriate for a shared workspace, which as we've established is wildly different from everyone else's. This man laminated a sign. He brought a fridge. He earned a promotion microwaving fish. Whatever he's planning, he will execute it with absolute certainty and zero pushback from management because his code is clean and apparently that's all that matters. His desk plant has a second pot now. He's expanded on every front. We'll update when I find out what the seafood plan is. Pray for me. Hope he comes back in and says, "So the seafood thing happened." I need to start there because the last post ended on he's planning something for the floor, and I know some of you said to claim an allergy in the elevator, and I want to be clear. I had the window. I did not take it, and the seafood thing happened. I was present for the entire thing, and I need you to know this before I get to the other stuff. Dale organized a floor hot pot. He called it Floor Culture Building Lunch. Thursday night, WeChat message, whole floor, seafood hot pot tomorrow, bring appetite. He attached a photo. Not a link to a place, not a shared order. A photo of a hot pot. From what I can only assume is his own phone. Just a pot. On a Thursday night, no other context. Management had apparently approved it. I don't know when he asked or how he framed it, but by Friday morning there was a portable hot pot on a table in the middle of our floor and Dale was unboxing seafood from bags he'd carried in from home. I stood there longer than was professional just watching this. He had shrimp, things I recognized, things I genuinely didn't. At one point he added something that made the person next to me go completely still in a way people go still when they are privately reconsidering their life choices. Dale gave a short speech. My colleague translated the part that mattered. He said sharing a meal was the foundation of team trust. He said this while stirring a hot pot he had personally transported on a Friday morning. Nobody clapped. Everyone ate. The smell lasted through the weekend and someone filed something with HR, and HR said it was a team event so nothing happened. Anyway, our company got funded. Happy Cappy made it into some tech news, which was quite exciting for maybe a week, and then our CEO announced we were moving, scaling up. New floor in a WeWork in Shenzhen. Proper brand setup, real kitchen, the whole thing. They put capybara stuff everywhere, at the all hands, mugs, wall print stickers. I took a couple because honestly the capybara is kind of cute. I don't know, it grows on you. Dale took the whole sheet of stickers. I was standing right next to him. He picked up a full sheet, put it in his bag and made eye contact with no one. I watched this happen and said nothing. I have no idea why he needs that many capybara stickers for. I've decided not to think about it. The new office is legitimately nice. Open floor, glass meeting rooms along one wall, proper kitchen with ventilation. I was optimistic. Thought maybe a fresh start, new space, he'd use the kitchen, whatever. That lasted about a week. By the end of the first week, Dale had claimed a meeting room. He didn't do it officially. He just started booking the same room every day, 12 to 1. Calendar subject line, L. Just the letter. I asked our office manager what it stood for. She said lunch. Just lunch. Daily. The whole room. He sits in there alone. The walls are glass so you can see directly in. I walked past one afternoon and he was in there, lamp off, container open, metal chopsticks, no sound. Just Dale in a glass box, in a WeWork. I stopped for a second because sometimes you need a moment to confirm that what you're looking at is real and not something your brain has constructed. The WeWork community team noticed the smell after a week or so and sent an email to our office manager asking about food preparation concerns on the floor. She forwarded it to the CEO, he forwarded it back to her. Nothing happened. Dale put a laminated sign on the meeting room door. New one. He must have found a laminator in the building. Same text though. Quiet lunch zone 12 to 1, please respect. WeWork staff took it down. Next morning a new one was up. They took that one too. Third one appeared. I think after 3 attempts everyone just gave up because the sign has been on that door for 2 weeks now. Oh, and I should mention, the fridge came. Dale's unauthorized personal mini fridge made the move. The moving company packed it, someone put a company asset tag on it because they assumed it was office equipment. It is now technically a Happy Cappy company asset. The capybara sticker and the smiling fish sticker are still on it. It's under Dale's new desk. His plants came too, 3 pots. I don't know what he's been giving them, but they're doing incredible. Best looking desk plants I've seen in any office. Thriving. Expanding on every front as always. New person joined last month. Desk closest to the glass meeting room. First day she came over to me around 2 p.m. Stood there for a second and said, "Is that guy okay?" I didn't know what to say. I said his code is very clean. She came in with noise cancelling headphones on day 2. I've had mine since February. We don't talk about it. We're just both wearing them by noon. I think I've stopped fighting it to be honest. Dale is weather at this point. You don't argue with weather. You dress for it. The forecast at this office is fish. Has been since November. You bring a headset. We'll update when something happens. Something always happens. With a notable comment on this one that says, "I'm sorry you're living this, but it's my favorite read. Keep up the series." It almost just feels like OP's assimilated into the workplace and everyone at that workplace went through that at some point. It was when the new person went up to OP and said, "Is that guy okay?" And OP I could just picture this face just turning around and saying, "His code is clean." And then just moving on. Bloody hell. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. Truly, it's absolutely amazing. And hopefully, I'm going to see you in the next one. Take care and much love.
Man, I remember being so naive when life was good, weather and palm trees. Back in the day, you were everything I need. But then along came a time when you crushed my dreams. Oh yeah, you played me like a fool when you made me believe that the line between love wasn't thick enough to read. Oh yeah, you see we in despair, crime everywhere. You're selling false hope cause you just don't care. Nah, you just don't care. Nah, you just don't care. You just don't. Still selling false hope cause you just don't care. House, feel if we talking to a uniform, who the real? You know we in the deep south, so let's keep it real. This is